Hey, welcome, and good morning to you. Good evening, good afternoon for me. Usually it's the other way around. It's my mornings and someone else's evenings. So yeah, thank you for joining
Yeah,
today.
yeah. My pleasure to be on your YouTube. First time on YouTube, actually. Very excited.
Nice. I
Yes.
just actually realized coincidentally I'm actually wearing one of my a shirt from Cowboy Bebop, the concert that I
Cowboy.
went to. Yeah, they did Cowboy Bebop live. So there's a band tour in the US that plays all of the music from Yoko
Hmm.
Kanno and the Seatbelts, and I got this shirt
Yeah.
like 3
Well,
weeks ago. Yeah,
that's very cool. That's very cool. And I got
great
this
music.
my Power BI.
Well, that one's, as you said, from somebody we both know,
Yeah.
former MVP Peter Myers, who's done extensive work with Microsoft and created the admin in a day. That has done a ton of
Hmm.
documentation. So, but he's a
Yeah.
huge fan of visiting Japan.
Yes, exactly. He was here in Japan doing the workshop for the Japan Power BI user group, and I
Hmm.
was there doing his translator. And at the end of his session, he just came to me and said, "Okay, this is the gift for you because you did all the work for me, and that's why I'm wearing this." Yes, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, the and I think there was the one and only time that I ever did a or I had a
Hmm.
translator years ago when I visited Japan, like in 2017, 2018. One of the
Hmm.
user groups that I presented at did a live translation from English into Japanese. So I'd speak from my presentation and then I'd
Hmm.
pause,
Hmm.
get it translated and go back and forth. But that was um, an interesting and fun experience for sure to kind of have like a person translate everything I was saying during the
Yeah.
presentation back into Japanese.
Yeah. 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 And I think it was a workshop for also for Power BI user group, right?
Hmm.
Or yeah, and I think folks from Power BI MVPs they told me that you once were in Japan, and I didn't join. I did not join the Power BI user group at that time yet, so I did not know those folks. But after, probably in 2018, I joined the user group,
Okay.
and then yeah, everyone is just like a friends. Yeah,
I think it was around 2017 then, yeah, so that makes sense.
yeah.
But the thing that I think is yeah, that I appreciate being able to have conversations with is just members of the cat team in general. Because I think there's a lot of unique perspectives that come from the types of customers that you all work with,
Mhm.
certainly, and,
Mhm.
and the large enterprise
Yeah,
clients, as we were just talking about before the stream, which is, SMB can be defined very differently depending on who you speak to.
yeah,
Or better said, small, medium, and large businesses, or
yeah.
enterprise businesses across the U.S. And I think as we'll be getting into today, there's going to be a really interesting discussion as well on like Japanese culture, and then its integration with Power BI and Fabric as that's
Yeah.
evolved over time. But I think before I get too far ahead of myself,
Mhm.
let's start with giving you a chance to introduce yourself to the
Okay.
channel and give a little bit of background about who you
Yeah,
are and kind of what
yeah,
you do before we get into the topic of the day, if you can.
yeah. Sure. Let me share my screen and
Hmm.
get started. Can you see my screen?
Yep, and we're moved over to it.
Okay.
Perfect.
Good. So, yeah. Today we want to talk about best practice for team and self-service BI. A little bit about Microsoft Fabric. So first of all, let me introduce myself for those folks who don't know me. Um, okay, let's go to the next slide. So my name is Eiki Sui. Actually, it's my Japanese name. My Chinese name is Yengqi Shuai. It's to some people a little bit difficult to pronounce my name. I'm with Fabric Cat, used to be Power BI Cat
Mhm.
when I joined Microsoft. I'm with PG product group, and I was data analyst for 13 years. And after graduating from the college, I started working at GE Japan as a FP&A analyst for about 2.5 years. And I think it was a financial crisis, the collapse of Lehman Brothers, right? The same year, yeah. everything screwed up. I joined this inventory valuation firm or asset valuation firm, and where I was doing inventory valuation as an analyst for 13 years. So I started picking up, you know, using Power BI all by myself. And that's why, after that, I joined Microsoft as a end user from the end user side.
Mm.
So yeah, so that's my career background. And I speak three languages: Japanese, Chinese, English. And because I'm from China, by the way, um, but I live in Japan right now. So it's kind of that my first language is Japanese, um, and then my second language is Chinese. But you know, when we speak about business, I think English is much more better for me to express everything. Chinese is just a daily conversation. When you go back to
Mm.
your country, you speak with your family in Chinese instead of Japanese or English. Yeah. So my job is to support companies with fabric adoption worldwide. Regions include mostly in Japan, but also China, Korea, Southeast Asia, like countries like Thailand and Vietnam. I cover those regions as well. So what made me maybe a little bit unique or famous was that okay. This one, Fabric Fan. So I brought this to Fabric Conference on the other day. And it says, it will show three different messages. So like, I love Fabric, or I love Direct Lake, I love DL kind of thing. So I posted this on LinkedIn, and it got quite a lot of impressions, 84K, I think by the end of the last week, 60K unique views and 780 reactions. So, and it was interesting that maybe I should not tell this in front of the camera, but Chris, I'm sorry if you're watching this. Chris Wagner, during the conference, he came to me and said, "Dude, come here." I said, "What?" And he said, "I've got you something. Here's $20. I want to buy this." And I was like, "No, no, no, no. This is a joke. I mean, it's all a free giveaway. So here is one for you." And he seemed very happy. And I'm sure he was happy. And I think this is a time because most of the people right now is the summertime. So you will have more chances to use this than the last time we see in FabCon.
It sounds like you need to do some drop shipping for this, where you set something up where
Yeah.
it's like you're not making any money, but you just have a page where you can click, we use PayPal, put in an
Yeah.
address, and it just ships them one of these, and people can just buy off of a website.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe then maybe I should change my job to become the supplier for the marketing department of Microsoft. But honestly, I was talking with the marketing guy from Japan. He said, "Well, maybe we should do this, sometime in the future." Yeah, that's the long-term plan. Okay, that's my introduction. So today's agenda, I want to briefly talk about, Fabric and Power BI in Japan, what's going on. And then we will switch to today's main topic, the kind of Power BI optimization guide or best practices for team or self-service BI. So let's first get started with this one, um, the Fabric Power BI in Japan. This is unique. I mean, I think to a lot of people, Japan is a country with mystery or something if you have never been here in Japan. So I think my first slide will start from here. Where is Japan? Right? I know this is a stupid question, but yeah, it's good to look at it. So Japan, as you can see from this world map, it's in the middle of the world, right? And it's somewhere between China and the US. And I don't live in Beijing because I come from a different city. But for those folks who wants to know how long it takes, it's going to take 4 hours from China, the capital of China, Beijing, to Tokyo, and 10 hours from Tokyo to Seattle. And if you're coming back from Seattle to Tokyo, that's going to add it to another 2 hours maybe because of the wind,
Hmm.
right? Um, and
So why Hawaii is such a good stopping point. It's right in between Seattle
yes,
and Tokyo. It's a
yes,
very convenient stopover.
exactly. And it's just so many Japanese are like Hawaii so much, and usually they will, go to Hawaii during their vacation. But I will talk about this later. But there's the issue with going to Hawaii or going anywhere around the world. Maybe you already know the answer, but yeah, we'll talk about that later. So my hometown actually is, well, from the photo, it looks like it's close to Beijing, but actually it's gonna take, a while. I think it's a 1 hour flight from Beijing to my hometown, Dalian. The pronunciation is Dalian. So the short term will be DL. So when you talk about DL, what can you think of DL? I mean, Reed, this is a question to you.
Yeah,
DL.
and this is in China. We're not in Japan. So hometown of DL. So I would think
Well,
like data DL for me in Microsoft would be like data load or something else. But I've never actually
yeah.
heard of that city.
Yeah, it's well, to be honest, it's the city close to North Korea.
Oh,
It's
okay.
yeah, but yeah, China is getting along with North Korea, so yeah, it's very safe. But when you talk about DL, from Microsoft words, that's going to be direct link, right? From Fabric, DL.
Oh
Sometimes people
yeah,
just
yeah,
write
direct
that,
link. Yep, yeah.
right? Everyone loves the DL, right? So the next shot is something very funny. I love DL. Yeah. So this photo, I took this during my vacation back in China, back to Dalian, and this very big building. They just have this illumination. I love DL, and it's funny because I posted this photo on Twitter X, and then Christian Wade just liked it. I didn't give him any explanation, but when people from a Microsoft or analysis services team, you know, they just see this as I love Direct Lake. Yeah, everyone loves Direct Lake. So
Fantastic.
that's the fun part of China. So okay, now let's talk about something about Power BI Fabric. So how's the market for Power BI Fabric in Japan? Um, Okay, so first of all, we have the Japan Power BI community. Um, this community is organized by 3 Power BI MVPs. So read your MVP, so I'm sure you will be able to find their names, or maybe you already know them. Three MVPs, Yoichi, Yugo, and Takeshi.
Mm,
Those three people are acting. Is running this Power BI Japan Power BI community, and look how many members we have here, 2,500 people. That's a huge group, I think. Um, and sometimes people just meet online. Sometimes we just do this in person. Before COVID, before pandemic, we were all gathering together at Microsoft Office. People talking about the technology, Power Query technology. Data modeling, Power BI report, everything about Power BI. So at that time, we were gathering together. But because of COVID, it became online. So online now is very normal. And this is Japanese. This site is called Compass. It's a
Hmm.
Japanese event platform for people who have interest in technology or IT. And it's funny because I think my friend is watching this one as well. My friend Bernard is also a member of it. He's from Spain, but he speaks fluent Japanese, close to native. So he sometimes show up on our user community, and I think he did a presentation a couple of times before. And yeah, so as long as you can understand Japanese, this is the platform that we welcome anyone to join. So, but even if you are, foreigners living in Japan who only speak English or other languages, you are welcome to join our community as long as you like, Power BI and Fabric. So that's something about our user community in Japan. So here's a little bit, statistics that I can share with you. So in terms of the, MAU growth, this is actually paid MAU for, the Power BI, and Japan is the fastest growing country among all the other countries in the world. You can see this
That makes it
graph on
fun.
your right side. Yes, it's absolutely it's astonishing. I mean, Japan is much higher than global average. And if you take a look at this ranking, Japan is number one growing company, growing country, and Vietnam followed by Vietnam, Korea, India, Germany. Yeah, I cannot
So West
share the
Asia,
exact.
East Asia, and then Europe. But I mean, the top four are collectively various parts of
Yeah,
all of Asia.
yes, exactly. Which means there is even more room for these countries to grow in the
Hmm.
future. So, well, and this is actually this is the past 24 months data. So, and people may ask why Japan is so growing, it's growing so fast. I think one of the reasons is that Japan has just so many global companies. Um, some of them are even Fortune 500 and very
Hmm.
famous. Like Toyota, Sony, Panasonic. They're all global companies, and they're big, Power BI customer. And of course, speaking about this, I mean, it's 2 years data, right? I joined Microsoft like 2 years ago. So I will tell my manager because I joined Cat Team, maybe I played a certain role here to make the market grow. And this is my message actually. But yeah,
There you go.
it's a kidding. Yeah. So let's take a look at the user. So this is the customer, and this is the Japan Digital Agency. Japan Digital Agency is a governmental body established in 2021 to promote digital transformation and advance the digitalization of administrative services in Japan. So they have this, site, um, available for anyone in Japan, and they have this dashboard, the policy overview dashboard. So if I click here, it will take you to their website, digital agency, and you see this. Here's the Power BI mark, and they are creating this dashboard for anyone, for Japanese citizens, so they can just they show this as a published web feature. There's a feature inside Power BI, so you can publish this to web. And the government, I mean, the digital agency is telling people that this is what we've been doing for local government,
Hmm.
things like that. And these are each prefecture, the number for each prefecture, and these are the progress rate for the DX, digital transformation for each local government. So this is something that the government will want to to visualize things and tell people from Japan that we're doing this. Japan is doing digital transformation. Everything is about technology, and information is open to anyone. If you want to access these information, you can just download the data from this website, or you can just read all the information from within this Power BI report. Of course, people do not know this was created by Power BI. But for folks from a Power BI space, we all know, yeah.
There's certain tells when a Power BI report's been used.
Yes. And this is percentage, and this is comparison with the total Japan. Yeah, and then the number is not changing. Maybe they are not updating this. I don't know. But I mean, this report is simple enough for people who have no idea how to look at the report. I think this report is beautifully designed, very easy to understand. Although it's not a good idea to put every single measure in one card visual. This could take a long time to refresh, to render. If they are using,
are those individual cards, or is that the new card visual?
I have no idea. Maybe
yeah, I mean, as long as it's in one visual,
yeah.
It's fine, because there are not a lot of things to do. You just don't want 45 single value cards on the page. That's the thing that's expensive. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. This is something we have to talk about with digital agency. Actually, the leader from the digital agency looking after this dashboard project came to Microsoft Japan last week. I had another meeting, so I could not join the meeting with him. But there are challenges Microsoft with how they can make this better. So hopefully we can have some opportunities in the future to talk about it. So that's the user story, right? The Japan Digital Agency. So let's speak a little bit about the Fabric adoption. So everyone is so crazy about Fabric, even in Japan, and everyone is very curious about it. Fabric has got GA for like half a year or something, but in Japan, especially, SMCs tend to be more responsive to Fabric adoption. The definition is a little bit difficult because to most of the people, SMCs means a very small company, right? But because everyone in this world is a customer of Microsoft, the kind of SMC we define probably is the company with revenue more than 10 billion US dollars or something. Sorry, 1 billion or something, and which to a lot of people is not SMC, right? It's enterprise customer. But for the company with such revenue volume, SMCs tend to be more responsive. So which means for those companies who have no data platform yet, they're the ones who are looking for the opportunities with Fabric. So the company, if the company has already used the Power BI, then it's easier for them to migrate to Fabric environment. But the kind of trend I see these days is the SMCs that have no Power BI experience at all before, they are noticeably implementing the Fabric as their data platform. So they're coming from data platform side, data in the AI as an entry point, instead of just okay, we are interested in Power BI. We want to use Power BI. Such company is not really the target in this case in terms of a Fabric adoption. So for those large enterprise customers, of course, they are using Power BI, right? If you're using Power BI, you know Fabric, and you will have some kind of interest in Fabric adoption. But so far, a lot of companies are still doing POC, and
Yep.
because these companies care more about security and governance, administrations, so Fabric usually will come down from the IT department and then to the user side, right? That's what the trend I see so far in Japan. It could be the same for the other regions, other countries as well, but this is very evident in Japan, which means people are afraid that if they should still learn Power BI. And I will tell them that you see, this is the trend. Eventually, the company who had no idea about Power BI will start learning Power BI, meaning you will have more opportunities to use Power BI. Yeah, because that's the last 1 mile for this Fabric. And Power BI is
Yep.
so famous. Um, Now everyone knows about Power BI. So that's the current situation. Okay, so next, what's so exciting about Japan right now? This is a very, vague question, but I will use Power BI report to explain what this means. So what's exciting about Japan? There are a lot of exciting things about Japan. For example, sushi, Japanese food. I don't know, sightseeing, technology, cultural thing, manga. Animations. All those things are the Japanese culture. But what makes it more interesting is that the exchange rate, right? I used to be an analyst, so I do this kind of work every day. And I think this report, I created this like 6 years ago, maybe. Um, and this is the currency rate. If you take a look at this, so current currency rate, JPY USD. So if you have $1, you can buy 161 JPY in Japan. So that's is the currency rate. And if you see this currency rate over time, it's growing, which means JPY is getting weaker, right? And the second graph is year over year USD. And the third one is the most interesting one. This is the exchange rate versus benchmark rate. So I have a benchmark right here selected. This is June 2024. So if I change this, like maybe 3 years ago, let's change this to 3 years ago. So as of 2021 June, you see, when I select that benchmark day, this red circle will, show up here.
Mm-hmm.
And you see this trend, right? If this graph is over 0%, it means JPY is depreciating, which means I'm getting poor, which means you are getting rich. Right? If you come to Japan, you are like a 50%, you are 45% richer than 3 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I would like I've been 6 times to Japan, and the more recently for sure, the exchange rate definitely benefits if you're there for a couple of weeks as a tourist, because it's just the dollar goes a little bit further.
Yeah. And when was your last time visiting Japan? Was 2017, right?
Very first
Uh,
time was 2016 to 17, and my most recent was 4 months ago.
oh, you were here. Okay.
Yeah, Tokyo
Good.
Marathon. My friend ran it, so we were there to support her to run the marathon.
Oh, that's good to know. Next time you come to Japan, just ring
Oh
me up.
yeah, yeah. I'll let you know next time we can grab coffee.
Yeah, and I can even, introduce you to Japan Power BI community. You can speak a little
Hmm.
bit about, Fabric, Power BI, anything you like. So it could be a good, meetup.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this exchange rate, I mean, it's just something that I use for my own purpose. But as you can see, the rate is going down. Well, to us, it's going down. But this is a Power BI report embedded inside PowerPoint. So I would suggest, I highly suggest anyone, using Power BI, just create this kind of report and embed them inside the PowerPoint. If there's a need for you to do the presentation to your manager, to your management, this is a great feature to do the storytelling. And also you can change this to Japanese and English. So it's a cool feature. So next, let's see. I have another report. So this is the number of tourists to Japan. And if you see this huge drop from 2019, this is pandemic. So
Well, and
and
Japan closed their borders longer than I think almost any other country. It was I was there like the first month it reopened. Like it was, I
yeah.
think October they made an announcement, and
Mhm.
by November of I think it was 2022, right, when they reopened.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I have
yeah,
this. I have
yeah.
this
So
post COVID. So
exactly the which was it kept the rates down a lot, but like I remember it was right at the tail end of 2022. I think they made an announcement like mid October, and then we had flights
yep.
booked basically by November to go visit for a couple
Mhm.
couple of weeks, and then as you see everything skyrocketed back up again.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And you see this one. So we have almost about 3 million visitors from overseas. This will continue to grow up, and the most, I think it's South Korea because it's close to Japan. It's only an hour from Seoul to
Oh yeah,
Tokyo. Sorry, maybe 2 hours, 1.5 hour. I don't know. And
very
this
short
is
flight.
yeah, very short flight. Yes. So for citizens from US, this is a total number, but the latest one is yeah, 250,000 visitors from the US.
Mhm.
It's growing, growing. So you know, because the JPY is getting weaker and we have so many visitors from all around world, and this is a trend that is unstoppable, and which means every time you go out to the town, all you see is foreigners, foreigners, foreigners. Uh, yeah,
Yeah,
it's good.
just as one like fact that I remember reading that was a little bit sad on like tourism is they closed down the geisha quarter in Kyoto to
Yep.
tourists because I'm a good tourist. I respect local things, but a lot of people don't, and they were getting harassed. Like people would chase them and take pictures of them. So unfortunately, they had to close it down because they couldn't live their
Yeah.
lives, without a
Yeah.
bunch of tourists, from all over the world harassing them. So there is definitely with some countries too many tourists, I think
Yeah.
sometimes, and
It's.
also tourists who don't follow the signs and the rules of like, hey, don't
Mhm.
harass local people.
Yeah, that's a sad story, but it happens anywhere, right?
Of
Um,
course. I mean, it's just around the
yeah,
world. There, like any
yeah,
country has tourists who think that they're the what the phrase is I'm the main character kind of. They think that attention is centered on them.
yeah, yeah, and that is causing some problem actually. Yeah, because you have so many people from outside Japan, and well, it's just cannot be helped. Um, yeah, but it is what it is, right?
Exactly.
So my message to everyone watching this, YouTube is now's the time to come to Japan. If you're not from Japan, you can come here. So my first takeaway is that okay, after all these talk, I think what I want to say is that if you want to tell a story, if you want to tell something very interesting to people, maybe you can consider embedding your Power BI report inside PowerPoint. And this is a great feature, I think, because you do not have to leave a PowerPoint doing your presentation, and you can watch the same screen with your audience and do every kind of analytic work. So now is the topic for today. So Power BI best practice for team self-service BI. I'm not going to go over each single piece, but I will just walk you through the basic things. This Power BI optimization guide, actually, I shared this Power BI report with Zoe Douglas, who I think most of you watching the recording already know. She is in charge of DAX query view and calculations groups and the DAX Copilot, right? And I think she just announced the new features from yesterday that the DAX Copilot or DAX Query View can now bulk apply the changes. If you create a define statement, until now you had to apply them one by one. But from
Yes.
July build, that's changed, totally changed. It's a game changer. And with one
I haven't
single
tested that
click,
yet.
it's
Right.
awesome. You will like it. Yeah. So she posted my PBI. So the URL is out there, aka.ms/PBI best. If you click there, it will take you to the screenshot that Zoe shared here. This URL, I mean, this Power BI report, I created it specifically for people who have no idea where to looking at and how to design semantic model, or for some people who may have basic knowledge about Power BI, but they want to know more. What's the best way to approach? And this is going to be challenging even for beginners. But as Fabric is getting more and more famous, there will be a strong need for individuals and companies that have not used the Power BI at all to seek out resources on Power BI best practices in the internet. So as a first step, I have created this Power BI optimization guide as a comprehensive, easy to start a reference thing. Be
I like that.
careful. Yeah, be careful. This guide is not designed for enterprise BI because I did not put any feature related to security or compliance. Um, they are a must-have thing for enterprise BI, but for the users who creates reports, this is something for them. So and this will be Japanese and English. So let's talk a little bit more about this. So this is a diagram, simply shows the process before creating Power BI report using Power BI or Fabric. So today's topic covers the first three and picking up on the core optimization or best practices at each step, right? So I wanted to include a visualization part, but that's just too much content. So I
That's fair.
left a link to there. So this is raw data, what to look at when you have the raw data, and this is ETL process, and this is semantic model. So I'll just go back to this slide and just click here. So it will open up this Power BI report, and it allows you to select if it's Japanese or English. Let's go to English. And here is the Power BI optimization guide. So this covers pretty much everything that I learned from my past experience as an analyst. But if you are looking for something official, then you can just simply click here, optimization for Power BI, right? So this will take you to our official document. But as most of you already know, if you start reading all these articles, you're going to spend a lot of time, right? And you want to know some core concept. How can I just get started quickly? So that's when this optimization comes. So if you knew at least all these things, you're good to go. That's the concept of this Power BI report. Starting from top, choose data sources that are fast. Yeah,
Mm.
it's it's a basic concept, but uh, did you know that CSV is much faster than Excel? It's like a 5 to 7 times faster than Excel. But CSV, well, database is much faster than using CSV. Um,
Yep.
so this page, I did not only listed all these examples, but I just added some other, details. So for example, this data source, I created this report. I used a few C marks, analyze my refresh PBI report. So I took this SQL server with how many columns? Let's see, 13 columns. Also another one with 27. And with the CSV and Excel. So these are the result for the read load time. So basically with 13 columns, 13 million rows, um, the data will be loaded 240,000 per second. So it's very fast. And it's 6.4 times faster than slowest source, which means Excel. So this is
Yep.
just a simple division, right? So if you take a look at this, these are the orders for each data source with different number of columns, the load time for that. This will simply tell you that if you have a fast data source, it is going to be fast. It can load more data than other data source. And if you have less columns, it also will read much faster than this one. So this gives
True.
you a hint. This gives you a hint for the model design, right? You do not import all the columns, all the unnecessary columns from the source. You only want the columns you need, and you want to use a faster data source. Hopefully, that's something that can do the query folding, right? The query folding is the ability to push back the query processing back to source system. So this is the one. And the famous Raj's maxim of data transformation, everyone knows this. um, actually, I'm with the same team as the uh,
In
Matthew
case
Raj.
they, yeah, as far upstream as possible, as downstream as necessary.
Yeah, that's the golden words. So if you take a look at his blog post, that he says clearly about this. So it's worth reading. It's worth reading. And this is the best practice, the way of thinking, how you do the ETL, right? So this is the basic rule for the choosing the correct data source. And then the next one is you want to do some source data analysis, right? What does that mean? So examine source data, types of a source, data size, missing values, and you can use the query view from the Power Query editor. You can check this column distribution, column quality, column profile, and you can see all the metadata information from Power Query editor. So that's something you want to look at. And always create a thin or slim model. That's that's one single but very effective way of creating a model design, right? Cut down the rows, which I have already mentioned, and check the column cardinality. Okay, column cardinality is also very important. Like for example, if you have 100 million rows from a sales fact table, for that specific column, like for example, if you have 100,000 unique values versus you only have 1,000 unique values. The cardinality is totally different, right? The second one should, query match faster than first one.
Mhm.
If you're using that column as a relationship column, then I mean the difference could be even bigger, right? So remove the columns with unnecessary, need, especially look into those high cardinality columns. If you do not need them, just remove them. This will make your model much, much faster and lightweight, right? So these are the source data system, and also maybe you want to change the data type, right? Decimal to whole number. If you can do with that, just remove decimal, because this decimal will create more unique values. You want to make that as a whole number, so you can reduce the cardinality of that specific numeric column. Yeah. And sometimes you may also want to, optimize things with the text key to integer key, right? So these are the basic rules. So next is the Power BI setting, right? The first thing when you fire up a Power BI desktop is just, check off this time intelligence. Sorry, I only have Japanese here, but this says time intelligence, and the
Auto
time
date time.
intelligence. Yes, auto date time. That's something you do not want to use, because it's going to create some hidden tables inside Power BI, which you have no idea where it is. And you just want to remove those hidden tables. You can visualize them with a DAX Studio, by the way, but it's still a bad practice. And check privacy settings. This also is very important. And these three, you have to read all the contents and select the ones appropriate to you. You may encounter also formula firewall if you turn this security to a higher thing. And if you know your data source stays within your organization, it's not coming from other external sources, then maybe you can loosen up this security setting. But otherwise, be sure to make sure that you follow your security policy, and something like that. So next one is probably the most important one, is building a star schema, right? Star schema. Let's see, this one. Sorry, this is data model that I randomly selected from the website, but
No worries.
yeah. And let's see, yeah, this one, the star schema, right? Everyone's talking about star schema. Star schema prevails rules, Power BI or whatever. But the star schema basically is the best. So you have a fact table surrounded by dim tables with one-to-many relationships. So if you can create a model like this, then your life will be much easier. So I was talking about understand, first of all, relationships. Basically it's one-to-many, right? If you are using bidirectional relationship or many-to-many relationship, you have to make sure you understand the consequences of that if you want to do that, right? So the one-to-many relationships, this one, star schema, very important. And it's modeling best practices. Avoid snowflake schema. So this is the snowflake. It has a chain of relationships connecting dimension table together. But usually you want to denormalize these tables into one single dimension table that is directly connected with a factor table, which makes your model star schema, right? So this kind of a technique is very important. So I just wrote them right here. And the reason for that is if you created a star schema, it could reduce your model size, right? And let's see, updating the semantic model often takes longer, right? So things like this. But sometimes, I mean, there's a exception when you're creating relationships in segment analysis. It allows for building simple DAX measures or um, yeah. Oh, I have a typo here, so I have to change that one. But also, if you have a column with date plus time, you want to separate them to different columns. This is also, you know, modeling best practices. I think I have created something like here. Yeah, here it is. So the calendar table along with date table. Yeah, just this one is something that you are, reducing the cardinality for that specific table, and also
Mhm.
for the sake of a calendar table, the complexity of calendar table, right? Yeah, this one. So the next one is always create a date table. Um, I see a lot of companies not using date table, but because they only have one single fact table, they're using the date column from there, which is absolutely not good practice. So be sure to create one single table. And there are four ways, maybe there are more, but as far as I can think of, there are four ways to create a date table with Power Query, with DAX, Bravo for Power BI, a designated date table from your organization's system, right? And you can choose any of them. But if you are using, let's say, Fabric One Lake or Direct Lake, DAX is not your option because so far, um, I mean, Direct Lake does not support calculated columns or
Yep.
calculated tables. Yeah, so that's one thing
So,
to be sure. Yeah.
so as a question for you, just as we're coming up towards the hours, what are some of your key takeaways that you'd find for all of this? Because we have the link available for them, but what are some primary things that, like, if you were to pick a top five or anything else across these sections
Mhm.
that you'd recommend for people to start with first, to go and look at some of this as some important things that you should have been doing as of yesterday with your design or your optimization?
Well, that's a very difficult question because I have reduced pretty much everything I thought, was too difficult. Because here,
Hmm.
you see, we have this best practice analyzer
Hmm.
created by Michael Kowalski. If you, use this tool, then it will list like 100 best practice rules that you want to take a look into. I am just cherry picking, some of them and listed them right here. But if you allow me to choose one, I would first say that remove columns. You know,
Okay.
if there are columns you don't use, you just remove them and be careful with high cardinality. And this one is second one. The third one is a star schema. With the star schema, your DAX measure can be much simpler, easier to create.
Okay.
Yeah, that's top three things I would look at. Um,
And I think it is also a good perspective on this too, is for because you mentioned earlier on in the demos of this, the kind of where people don't always know where to start when reviewing this stuff. Uh, End of the day, a lot of things that might not quote necessarily be best practice. There is a lot of uh good enough in certain scenarios. Like the what's the perfect is the enemy of good. When it comes to, like, sometimes spending a lot of time on something that has very little return on
yeah.
investment. So if you have a refresh that takes 15 minutes, if
Hmm.
it's scheduled at midnight, your DBA isn't upset, it's not hurting your system, it's not hurting your
Yeah.
capacity, it's refreshing
Hmm.
successfully. That put that very low on your list of things to optimize. It doesn't need to be 2 minutes. If nothing is broken and you're not paying extra for it and it's not costing any time. So I always just tell people, like, kind of put a list down of pain points. Is there
Hmm.
something that is slow from the report layer? Is there
Yep.
anything that is that's costing you too much in terms of compute or storage? Is the
Hmm.
file too big? Is the do you have a larger SKU than you would like, for the kind of computing that's needed because your DAX is expensive? But all of those things that like they're pain points. There's a lot of stuff that might not be quote unquote again correct, but if it's such a small problem to the point that nobody can tell, it's not costing you any money, it's not costing you time, then that's something that can honestly just be kind of swept under the rug until you address the things that are more expensive or more time consuming. So that's for stuff like this. That's what I always tell people too. Before you even look at best practices, figure out what's wrong and why. And
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
does it cost you time or money in any way or resources? And that's what you should then look at those problems, look at the list of here, and see how this stuff can help solve those problems.
Yeah, especially for data refresh. Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
the things you have to look into and pay specific attention to that. But sometimes
Exactly.
people just don't know what's happening, right? Sometimes
True.
they have no idea what's happening. Why my report is so slow? If you find your report slow, then just check this list out.
Yep.
Probably you are
Exactly.
using you know, the relationship could be too expensive sometimes. Like if you have a relationship with 10 million rows, that's
Mm-hmm.
going to slow your model very, much. And if you have too many columns, that could also cause the problem. Well, anything can
Yep.
happen, right? So these are the
Exactly.
guys, yeah, these are the guys that just to tell you basic rules, first thing you can look at. And speaking about the fundamentals of DAX measures, well, maybe, if you are really into DAX, just go to SQL BI. They're I also learned everything from them when uh, I flew over to Miami during my business trip to Boston when I was working at my previous company. Yeah, Marco said you're the first guy coming to my session from Japan. Yeah, that
Nice.
was fun. So the DAX measures have some rules. For example, always format DAX. If it's not formatted, it's not DAX or something like that. And after you created DAX measures, hide numeric columns from where you created DAX measures, and also hide foreign keys. Um, and it's well, let's say you want to create a base measure, so you want to design this very carefully because you don't want to use a sum over sales column, sales table, column XYZ over again. You just want to create one single base measure and then reuse that with calculate. You know, calculate probably is the most used DAX functions among all the others. Um, Avoid using if statement. So optimizing if, there's an article written by SQL BI. So I also left some of the examples here. So if, let's say if I put my cursor here, you can see the formula right here. So this is very convenient to know how am I writing the DAX measure with this. And sometimes you are writing the wrong if. So you do not write any DAX measures like this, right? Sum over sales. If some sales table sales amount is over 1,000, then select that one. You may think, well, I'm doing the right thing, but unless you understand the concept of a filter context, then this formula is wrong. The total will not be reflected with that, and
Yep.
usually, um, it should be 5.8 million instead of 8.7 million
Yep.
because you are
Exactly.
writing this wrong, right? Yes, those kind of are the things to be careful. Also, there are a bunch of the others, so I think I just want to show this one. So if you're using if error, I don't believe anyone is using if error at all, but if you are using if error with the kind of data, I think this one I had 3.4 million rows, right, factor sales, and doing the scan for that by using not if, I think it's only using divide, right? This DAX function is that. But if you use if error, this will slow your query down by 40%,
Wow.
which is a lot. Yeah, which is a lot. Even with only 3.4 million rows, right? But this can happen anytime. So be careful with that specific DAX functions you do not want to use. And it always use return statement. So bar return use variable will make your life easier, both from the performance perspective and debugging perspective. So these are some of the basic rules for DAX measures. If you can follow along with all of them, then you're good to go. And also some naming convention, right? Naming convention, you do not want. So the biggest difference for a column reference and a measure reference is that if you want to add a table column for a column reference and only square bracket measure name only for that. So you have to separate them, because otherwise this formula, DAX formula you wrote could be really complicated for other people to understand. And some others, including BPA, DAX formatter, and also I had this hardware selection. So if you are using Fabric, maybe hardware selection is not any problem anymore. But usually you want to have a high-spec PC, preferably 32 gig or over for your RAM. Use the latest CPU and things like that. So this is also very important. And other things include the Power BI report design. This one I created for Power BI visual design. So I listed some of the ground rules, and so this one is the last one piece that I wanted to talk about. But this is the report design. So I created this as from the X data analyst perspective. How you correctly design your report, FSBC, font size, balance, color, use the custom theme, and also, let's see, 10 bullet points for you to be able to, start designing your report quickly. 10 points to be careful. So very selective. It's not about everything you should know how to design your report, but pay attention to these 10 bullet points. So that's what I mean by this Power BI report design. And yeah, so this is actually the report I wanted to share with my customer. Anyone can use this report, can share this with your client within your organization. Feel free to do that. And if you have anything you want to add inside these, please let me know. I probably should leave somewhere people can contact me.
Feedback
Yeah.
button.
Yeah, feedback
Microsoft
button.
Forms is great for that. Just
Oh,
integrate that right into the report. To have
yeah.
have a button and a Microsoft
Yeah.
form where it's just very easy.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And lastly, I think I want to showcase some the nice blog post. So SQL BI, I do not have to explain that because everyone's just going to SQL
Let's
BI.
go.
Yeah, and my manager, Chris Webb's BI blog. This also is a great tech blog talking about the latest technology. Especially recently, he writes a lot about Fabric, including Copilot. So definitely you want to check out this one. And Radicat blog, big fan of Rad. And also Data Goblin, Kurt's blog posts are very, very thorough. And Kurt's even write
He's my
for
favorite
Microsoft.
blogger.
Yeah, exactly. And Data Mozart, very easy to understand contents, a lot of good stuff. Yeah, I could think of more, but for starter, these are the blog posts I do recommend. But most of them are written in English. Well, all of them actually written in English. So that's a challenge for Japanese people. But there's always the solution for that. You can do the translation, really easily. So these are the blog posts that I wanted to introduce for my end. So going back to my slide, this will almost close today's session. Let's see. So my takeaway 2 is follow best practices and just be creative with your Power BI report. I mean, you have to, it's better that you link your work with your Power BI reports. So if you're doing any kind of data job, just try to use Power BI, or if you're a big fan of Excel, you can even use Power Pivot, Excel Power Pivot to drive your BI project.
True.
Yeah. So just be creative with your Power BI report. So that's my takeaway, and that's it for today's session. Thank you.
And actually, let me leave that up just a second longer in case anybody needs to QR that. But no, this is great. I always like best practices, and I think an approach from the context that sets up from how the storytelling and everything is delivered to the evolution of, I think, all of that, and a little sprinkling in of how amazing Japan is, because I'm certainly on board. I'm on Team Japan with that, leading into all these best practices. This is a very thorough report, and I like the interaction of that and the ability for people to have a resource that they can play around with a little bit. So very, very cool in that sense. And what I want to do too is there is actually, go ahead.
Sorry, I forgot to add my PBI best.
Yep. And I dropped that into the chat earlier, so they'll have a link to that as well. And those should also be in the resources as well in the description of this video for anybody rewatching later. I did have one message that I wanted to put up from Fernando. I think, I don't know if you used Google Translate or something else, but there is a message that he has for you in Japanese. If you can read that at all.
That is, thank you very much, Eiki.
Nice.
You're welcome.
Wonderful.
You're very welcome.
For me, Jozu.
Yeah.
Very skilled.
Jujutsu.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Jujutsu.
No, but this has been fantastic. I appreciate you coming on and talking about, like, certainly one of my passions, which is, I think, report design, and then just the best practices around that. And also taking time out of your Saturday morning, right?
Yep. Saturday morning.
Because it's a day ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good to be awake earlier at this time, because I usually, will sleep until 10 or 9:30. So but yeah, it's good opportunity. And I have also some friends from my end. Hopefully you can invite them to your YouTube next time. I don't know when, but they're all very gentle, and they're very looking forward to speaking with you on your YouTube channel.
Absolutely. I know you've already made a couple of referrals, and I'm always looking for new presenters and people to bring on to share conversations, demos, opinions, presentations on anything that just can add value to the community. So I'm always happy to help host and provide a microphone for them, so to speak.
Yeah, and they're happy to help.
Excellent. Well, then with that, I want to wish you a great rest of your weekend. And
thank you.
Certainly happy to have you on at some point as well. And then I will definitely make sure to let you know, probably in the next 12 to 16 months. I usually go about every year to 2 to Japan for some random reason. So I will make sure to hit you up, and then maybe do another presentation at one of the meetup groups there as well.
Yep, for sure.
Excellent. Well, then thank you so much. Take care, and everyone, I'll see you online as well next week.
Yep. Bye.
All right. Bye. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. And if you want to help support this channel, take a look at our channel memberships or our merchandise store for cool swag. And last but not least, please consider sharing this video on your social media platform of choice to help our channel grow. So, until next time.